If the world is feeling a little less real than it used to, it could be that most of us are chronically online, and the online world is full of bots, not humans, not real. The dead internet of Reddit fame is apparently here, and the implications for humanity are yet to be seen. But it seems as though the cracks in dystopia are already starting to appear, or maybe they're just reflective of real-life cracks that are starting to show themselves in the MAGA base. As the MAGA world remains split over the release, or rather the not release, of the Epstein files, the bots, like the MAGA base, don't know how to act.
A MAGA network of at least 400 bot accounts on X has been discovered by social media analytics company Alethea AI and researchers at Clemson University. This network of hundreds of accounts on X, formerly Twitter, is using AI to reply to right-wing accounts with positive messages about people in the Trump administration. NBC News is now reporting on the latest updates. In the wake of the Trump-Epstein scandal, the bot network's accounts messaging apparently has been broken, revealing the AI behind the accounts. The bots post positive messages about figures like RFK Jr. and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt with the goal of shifting public perception about the administration. The bot network dates back to at least 2024 and was used in the lead-up to the 2024 election. Though something unusual happened in the wake of the Epstein scandal. The bot network became confused and the messaging became scattered. For example, some of the bots were defending Attorney General Pam Bondi, while others were urging Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino to resign. The bots appear to be trained on inputs from real MAGA social media accounts. Researchers believe that X and other platforms are flooded with these bots and that this is only the tip of the iceberg.
So, as stated in the video, Alethea, a social media analytics company, along with researchers at Clemson University, identified more than 400 MAGA bots, and they suspect there are far more than that. The bots were trained to praise people like RFK Jr. and Caroline Leavitt, but they were basically trained to imitate existing human-run MAGA accounts. The accounts, according to NBC, look like typical bot accounts, just a handful of followers, low engagement, that kind of thing. But none of that is really the point anyway. Their effectiveness, if they have any, is in the hope that they contribute to a partisan echo chamber and that en masse they can massage perceptions, said Darren Linville, the director of Clemson University's Media Forensics Hub, which studies online disinformation campaigns. They're not really there to get engagement. They're there to just be occasionally seen in those replies, Linville told NBC News. Some common characteristics of these accounts and their posts include they were created in batches around 3 specific days in 2024. They use a lot of hashtags, including ones that are not relevant to the post. They almost exclusively respond to other users' posts, often paid members of X with blue checks by their names. They employ a lot of repetition, and sometimes they respond to a post by just repeating verbatim what the post said. But here is where things got interesting. As MAGA started to splinter over the Epstein revelations or lack thereof, the bots became confused, with individual profiles tweeting conflicting sentiments. For example, one account posted 2 very different posts at the exact same time. The first one, posted at 5:36 a.m. on July 12th, said, "Everyone has their own opinion, but remember to stay open-minded and gather as much information as possible before forming any conclusions about anyone's involvement in a situation. Hashtag Epstein, hashtag Trump, hashtag Bondi." The second post also came at 5:36 a.m. on July 12th and said, "I agree that if Pam Bondi doesn't resign, then Dan Bongino and Kash Patel should also step down and publicly apologize on the Joe Rogan Experience. Let's demand accountability for all involved. Hashtag Epstein cover-up, hashtag Bongino resign." And there are several other examples just like that one, but the NBC report suggests that this was somewhat inevitable, saying, "The researchers believe X is likely rife with inauthentic accounts, though it's impossible to tell the scope. Last year, researchers found a different network of AI-driven pro-Trump accounts on X, but there is no way to grasp the scale of their presence on the network. X disbanded much of its trust and safety team when billionaire Elon Musk bought the site in 2022 and has since made it significantly harder for researchers to access data." So I was never really a very active user on Twitter, and I certainly have not been very active on X. The only reason I still have an account is so I can access tweets for these videos, and I really hope you all appreciate me. But I'm sure anyone who has been on social media lately, any platform, even YouTube comment sections, has noticed that comments are incredibly repetitive these days, to the point that everyone in a comment section will be making the same joke, sometimes even with the exact same wording. And for a minute, I just thought that people have just become wildly unoriginal and boring, which I still think is a part of it. I know a lot of younger people especially, they get excited whenever their comments on posts get a ton of likes, even though it means literally nothing. So they'll sometimes repeat jokes that they think will get them a lot of engagement. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. They really need that social validation, I guess, even if it's not real. But that's the problem, right? So much of what we engage with online is already AI generated, which isn't inherently always a bad thing. But I just want to point out that many people might not realize how much of what they're already engaging with is AI generated. Currently, there are no laws or rules requiring accounts to disclose when or how AI was used in a post. Some do, which is nice, but they don't have to. Just like we're not required to disclose whenever we're using a filter on our pictures or videos, I feel like that would kind of fall into the same category a little bit. But if you're unfamiliar with the dead internet theory, it is a conspiracy theory that says that the internet is made up primarily of bots talking to each other, not real people. This is all being done to, one, feign engagement on otherwise defunct or just less active platforms, two, to convince the real people reading comment threads and suggested posts that public opinion is one thing when it might not be, and three, to influence public opinion through repetition. So there you have the illusory truth effect in action, which states that if someone hears something enough times, whether it's true or not, they will start to believe it. And then there's also the ad populum fallacy, where if people believe that other people believe something, then they start to believe it themselves. These are tactics that politicians and propagandists have been using for as long as we can remember, but Trump is notable in his use of both of these. The more he repeats untrue things, the more his base just believes them, even if the reality they're witnessing for themselves does not align with what Trump has said, or even if there is evidence to directly contradict what he said. Of course, it's unclear, according to the conspiracy theory, who these bots are controlled by, but the suspects are the usual ones: corporations and governments, agencies that have vested political and/or financial interests in controlling the populace in some way. The theory doesn't really say how much of the internet is currently being controlled by bots, but as conspiratorial as it all still is, we know that bots are already running rampant on social media platforms. This is nothing new. Zuckerberg has even said that Meta's way forward will be bot-focused, which is concerning considering how many people have already left the platform because it became overrun with AI images, conspiracies and hoaxes, and phishing scams. Case in point, here is a headline from the Wall Street Journal from just May of this year saying, Zuckerberg's grand vision, most of your friends will be AI. Meta's CEO is promoting a future where artificial intelligence is increasingly intertwined with people's lives. And from Rolling Stone, December of last year, Facebook and Instagram to unleash AI-generated users, in quotes, no one asked for. Mark Zuckerberg's tech behemoth Meta seems less and less interested in the social aspects of social media. This story isn't so much about what we can do about this, though. I think this is just the new reality that we're all going to have to get used to, and no one is more disappointed about that than I am. If I could go back 30 or like 100 years, technology-wise, I think I would, I don't love social media. I don't love being constantly online. I don't love all the screens in my face all the time, which is saying something considering I am someone who makes my living on the internet. But, that's just me. And I still acknowledge and understand and accept that I live in this particular modern world. But anyway, I'm sure in the future, AI will become safer, more reliable, whatever, less clunky than it currently is, but the fact is we are not there now. And I would say that we all just need to be diligent in remembering that the online world is not the real world, especially when you consider how many people don't engage with it as regularly as others do, but diligence is not enough. The best of us can be fooled into thinking one thought pattern or belief is more prolific than it actually is. And while it looks like Congress is making moves in the wrong direction, less protecting people and identities, less privacy for individuals, more data collection for corporations, etc., it seems we are kind of on our own, at least for a little bit longer, all right? That's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.